And hello there. Welcome back to Weston Winterlicious. Today I'm talking about Bellina restaurant. Bellina, it's an Italian word for cute or lovely, but it's also the name of a Somali restaurant on Lawrence, just west of Weston Road. It's been open for 2 years already, but I only just made my first visit, and it won't be my last. I arrived just before 1 p.m. on a Wednesday. The place wasn't busy, 2 tables occupied, one by a Somali couple and another by a man sitting alone, also East African, I would guess. I asked the server behind the counter to tell me the most popular dish. Goat plate with rice, he replied. I'll take it, I replied. Plus a mango shake. Goat is always something I enjoy, but because you can't buy it in the grocery stores I go to, it's a treat for me to eat it. That's part of my restaurant decision making. Can I make this at home? That's why you'll never see me eating pasta with vegetables when I'm out, or a roast chicken. I can do a decent job of both chez moi. I have no idea why I ordered a mango shake. To be honest, I don't really like mango because it's too sweet, but I felt like branching out from my usual request for water. So there you go, an impulsive decision. I grabbed a booth at the window facing Weston Road in Lawrence and then opened my book, thinking it would take a few minutes to prepare my food. Not so. Almost immediately, a serving platter of food appeared in front of me, taking up most of the real estate on a plastic tray lined with black and white checked paper. Half the platter comprised a large pile of rice covered in colorful peppers, peas, carrots, and onions. A salad of lettuce, tomato, cucumber, and topped with a creamy dressing covered a corner. The remaining space was filled with the goat, coated in a sauce and topped with cilantro. Beside the salad, they'd tucked a wedge of lemon, and on the tray there was a small container of green hot sauce. I squeezed the lemon and drizzled the hot sauce over the meat. And a metal fork and spoon. Thank you for that. Plastic is so unenvironmental, and the new wooden ones. Well, if you know me, you'll know I have a significant aversion to licking wood. Think fingernails on a chalkboard. Curiously, to me, appearing aside the platter on the tray was a banana. Now, those medical types keep reminding me bananas are high in potassium, so I'd eaten one already that morning. I knew, therefore, this one was going home with me in its handy yellow wrapper. But why a banana? When I got home, I did some research and learned that 40 years ago, Somalia was a central hub for banana exports in Africa, employing 120,000 workers and exporting nearly 100 million US annually, mainly to Italy and the Middle East. With the civil war and political economic instability, the market fell apart and efforts to revive haven't yet been successful, or so the internet tells me. Without this on my plate at Bellina, I wouldn't have known any of this, so thank you for that. Next, I approached the mango shake, which arrived separately due to lack of space on the tray. This was even sweeter than the usual mango shake because it included a very large scoop of ice cream. I drove the paper straw through the ice cream and finally managed to suck some of it through the straw. A test of my power, but tasty for sure, and definitely too sweet for me. I should have stuck with the water. I had a few sips, but I knew for sure I was going to be working on this at home later. I moved to the food. First, the salad. The lettuce and cuke were crisp, good, fresh, like that. The dressing was surprisingly reminiscent of English salad cream, which I was not expecting. Turns out, while it's not English salad cream, I'm not the only one to have made the connection. Not, of course, likely to have come from a bottle. Very tasty. Lots of garlic, which also separates it from my British roots. I next tried the rice, basmati for sure, with that separation of the grains and slight nuttiness. The veg on top were cooked to tender but not mushy. Some of the red strips stumped me. Rather than the resistance of the pepper I was expecting, instead it was soft and starchy. Maybe potato marinated in something to make them red? I'm still not sure. Good textural contrast to the rice, though. Finally to the meat, which was, well, delicious. Eating goat is tricky because it's all on the bone and there's lots of them. Without a knife, I couldn't figure out how to manage until eventually I gave up and went in with my hands. Later, of course, I learned it would have been acceptable to eat only with my hands. If it had come with injera, which I've had at Ethiopian restaurants, I'd have twigged to that. But no problem. Part of the fun of eating goat is working around the bones and cartilage, so I settled in, picking and pulling while enjoying that rich and distinctive goat flavor, complemented beautifully by the sauce and enhanced by the hot sauce. That sauce was likely imbued with a mix of coriander, cumin, cardamom, cloves, and cinnamon, I've learned since. But it was a little hard to pick all those out, but the combo worked. 20 minutes later, I paused to assess the situation. There was no way I could complete this platter at one sitting. It's rare I listen to myself in the throes of eating, but I requested a takeout container and loaded it up with half the rice and meat to enjoy later. I'd finished the salad. The shake had defeated me much earlier. I was taking about 2/3 of it home, and most of that ended up down the drain 3 days later. I reheated the rice and meat in the frying pan the next day, though, and it was just as good the second time out, with less needless self-consciousness around eating with my hands. Those British roots run deep. If you haven't tried Bellina, I encourage you to check it out. I can't think you'd be disappointed. What's next for me? Fish with a glass of water. Thanks for watching.